This is the third Metal Investor Forum since I joined Core in July of last year. In the first one in Vancouver, it was really an introduction to the company. Core is still a very young gold company. It was only formed in November of 2018, and we're really just getting rolling on the ground at our great portfolio of projects. The second one was in November, where we could start to report on work on the ground and things that were coming from the actual activities. And now at this third one in Toronto, we're excited to be making announcements and entering a strong period of news flow in the company, which should showcase the great portfolio of assets that were put together at low prices in the depths of despair of the gold market in 2017-18. And we're working hard to deliver value to shareholders going into what I could believe is a good, strong bull market for gold equities. I will be making some forward-looking statements. I'm also going to be talking through a lot of dense slides here quite quickly. So really, I'm just trying to get you interested. Come over and see us talk. Our chairman, James Hines, and myself are both here. James is heads of exploration, and I've been brought in largely to work on the Imperial project. So come over and talk to us and follow up. That's how you'll get to know most about the company. So why is Core interesting? Well, it's interesting to investor as it's interesting to management because management owns 50% of the company. So we're very much working for ourselves as much as we're working for you, the shareholder. We've got a portfolio of gold projects in safe jurisdictions. We're in British Columbia and California. We've got one project called the Imperial project, which is currently undergoing a preliminary economic assessment. That work's been ongoing for about a month now, based off of a great work done by Glamis and the project in the 90s. And we expect some great results, and that'll be coming out sometime in April of this year. A big milestone event for the company. But behind the scenes, we're also spending a lot of energy on exploration. Core has 4 great gold projects. We're investing exploration time and dollars into 3 of those projects. And I'm going to focus most of my presentation today on giving you just a little peek at why we're exploring at the same time we're developing, making kind of a unique value creation opportunity for a shareholder in that we're doing both to generate value to you. I left this slide just in. I don't want to talk about the gold price. You're going to hear way too much about that. But I'm proud to say that a lot of the prognostications in this slide sort of have come home to roost in the last week or so. And I think it's all just great news for a long-term gold market and a great time to build a company. Backstopping Core is 2.5 million ounces M&I and 2.4 million ounces of inferred resource. That's in a company that today is about a 23 million market cap Canadian, which puts the company at a very low valuation per ounce of gold in the ground. And I think that in itself is one of the great value drivers. It is that investment thesis which attracted one of our strategic investors, Eric Sprott. Eric put $3 million into the company to start drill bits turning and to start the exploration story I'm going to talk to you today. We have a second strategic investor in Macquarie Bank, and this is a very conservative lending bank that runs a large lending book in the United States and is interested in funding us to develop our Imperial project in California. Again, the second path to value creation at Core. Here's a map where our assets are located. Again, if you want to learn more about details on the ground, come see us at the booth. We're just outside. We'll also be at PDAC sharing a booth with Entree Gold. So come by and see us. We're around to spend time with shareholders over the next few days. So we've got the Long Valley and Imperial projects in California and Gold Creek and FG Gold projects up around Williams Lake in the Cariboo region of British Columbia. So the first project I'm going to talk a bit about on the exploration side. I'm not going to talk about the development side of this project because I said we are undertaking a PEA. It's coming out in April. We're basing that PEA on a 0.9 million ounce indicated and 1.3 million ounce inferred resource. It's a low grade, at surface deposit, amiable to run-of-mine heap leaching. That's a good grade. If this project was in Nevada, it would have been mined out in the 80s and 90s. And it's in California, so we've got an opportunity to take that project into production. We've recently done geophysics as part of our exploration program over this deposit. It's covered in a thin layer of sand and gravels, and we wanted to tune geophysics over this deposit so we could understand what an intact deposit looked like in the ground. That's a very rare opportunity for an exploration company because, as you'll see in a few slides, we've got a huge land package connecting a couple other historic mines in this district, and we got to look undercover to find more deposits. So good news is that tuning that geophysics identified some upside to the current deposit. It's open down dip, and it's also open on strike, so we're excited about some nearer surface opportunities. The geophysics also highlighted a big at-depth geophysic anomaly underneath all of the current drilling. Drilling on this deposit was done in the days when they were only looking for oxide gold. They would do vertical RC holes, didn't care about structure, didn't care about why the gold was there. And as soon as they came out of the gold-bearing structure, they would just stop drilling. And they just kept chasing gold on stepped outs. That's how we got the 2.2 million ounces. And there's a marker layer that very clearly identified where they would stop drilling. There's a big geophysical anomaly underneath a conglomerate layer. We don't know what it is. The deposit at Imperial is fully oxidized, so we don't know if it's the sulphide roots. Is it another parallel structure? But it's something that's obviously got a very high priority to go put some drill holes in it when we get to drilling on the Imperial project. However, the reason we originally did that work was to tune geophysics so we could go explore this great land package we have. We call it the Mesquite to Picacho district because it connects the operating Mesquite mine, which is part of Ross Beaty's Equinox Gold Company, to the old, now closed Picacho mine, which was run by Glamis as one of the early heap leach projects in the 80s and 90s. And we've got the entire trend connecting those two deposits, which is about 26,000 acres. We did some of that staking with some of Eric's money. So we went out and actually staked the claims, and we bought the rest of the project from Goldcorp in 2017. So we're very excited to get out there. We're currently running geophysics with that tuned signature over some of that light cover, looking for some good targets. And we plan to go out there and put some drilling into the project later this year on the great targets on the current resource and on that great exploration ground. Exploration opportunity number one. Second one we're working on is called Long Valley. Long Valley has 1.2 million ounces of indicated and 0.5 million ounces of inferred. It is an intact epithermal deposit, so it's oxide transition in sulfides. That's only important in this case because the previous operator only ever drilled the oxides. And they drilled quite a large footprint, about 2.5 kilometers by 3 kilometer footprint, never drilled below 90 meters. So it's this thin veneer of gold on the surface. It's open in all directions. We've got some great geophysics signatures and surface samples that show that the deposit's open in oxides in multiple directions. We'll get out and drill some of those targets. But I think even more excitingly, we're excited about the potential for high grades in the sulfides in the feeder zones. All this gold in an intact system came up through hydrothermal fluids up from the depths of the heat source. That tends to leave behind higher grade precious metals at depth, also potentially base metals, all of which have never been tested with the drill bit. So we're going to go out and permit a drill program targeted with geophysics and good science and all of the historic drilling, drill some step outs in the oxide and can run those holes long with core drilling and targeting some of those oxide feeder zones in that deposit. Feeder zones really jump out on this slide here. You can see IP geophysics, and you can see the orange area is the length of the current defined oxide resource. The geophysics shows some nice parallel structures on the oxide at surface. You'll see those at the top, but look at how those target zones jump out underneath where this hydrothermal mineralization is coming from. So we're super excited to get some drill holes down into that sulfides. Exploration opportunity number two. However, drill is actually turning next week at our BC project called FG Gold. And why are we excited about this one? Well, you're probably getting the idea of what the core competency of the company is. We've got a near million ounce resource drilled at surface by RC drilling and a little bit of core in the 2000s, in the 90s by various operators. No real consistent geologic theory, looking for bulk disseminated open pit gold. And they were drilling the very, very, very top part of this gold structure, chasing a soil anomaly. And they drilled out this million ounce deposit. It's low grade. By itself, it's not very exciting. But there's some really nice high grade hits in the middle of all the drilling for this deposit. And that makes you think about why is that high grade there? No one's ever put together a good structural interpretation of where this gold came from, why it's in this rock group. So we're going to go turn the drills around against all of the historic drilling. You can see those blue lines have sort of roughed onto this chart. We believe that the gold mineralization and the high grade is controlled by localized folding. And we're going to go drill down some of those structures, connect them together. If that works out, we're going to open up a huge opportunity on this project. You can see that part of that opportunity, back one, is this large syncline. So the rock group is folded into a syncline and it shows its surface in this big horseshoe. It also extends between that horseshoe at depth, and it's a large rock mass that we can go drill if we can show the high grades. If I've piqued any of your interest, the PEA will change the nature of how core is valued by bringing us into that world of PNAV valuations. We had the pleasure of having Gwen down on site earlier in, I think it was in January. We had a couple other analysts down last week. We're seeing some real interest on the street. We can't wait to get the institutions coming into the stock, again, with all the news flow coming over the first part of this year from our geology team. Thank you very much. Hope to see you over at the booth later today.